Hello, my name is Chuck Roxon, and welcome to this series of videos about consulting to management. And I use the phrase consulting to management because many of us come from backgrounds where we advise managers in the public, private, and not-for-profit sectors, but we aren't necessarily management consultants. And that is, whatever our technical background is, what we have in common is advising management. That's what we're all about. This series of videos has been prepared by a number of professionals with decades of experience advising others. And we have done this for a variety of reasons. First of all, we want to share our experience, our history, our successes, our failures, our challenges, our joys. Share these with people, and also to encourage others who may be wondering, is this a career path I'd like to develop and follow? And the answer may be, absolutely. Please join us. Now, there are many people over the last 2 decades who have decided to go off on their own in what has been sometimes called the gig economy. And many of these people sometimes discover that their own businesses begin to grow and they start to subcontract with others, and they find that they're actually running a business. They're not any longer in the gig economy, although they may be employing people that way. And furthermore, as they have more years of experience, their clients will probably begin to ask them for advice on topics that they had not previously been advised about. For example, let's say that indeed you have been an independent project manager. You're now subcontracting with other project managers because you have a lot of clients, and one of your clients in a video conference with you one day says something like, "What are the strategic implications of our undertaking a project of this type?" You've never been asked a strategic question before to a senior manager or the owner of a business who's looking for guidance that is far-reaching. This puts you in a different league, and indeed you have now become a consultant to management, although your area of technical expertise may be project management. Now, some of you watching this, your technical expertise could be in engineering. It could be in information technology. It could be in human resources. The one thing you'll all have in common is you are advising management. And indeed, most of the colleagues in this series and people that I work with have very different backgrounds than I do. Some are from finance and accounting. Others are, well, like myself, I started out in this business with an interesting problem in energy management and engineering. And I found myself in my late 20s being asked to provide advice to senior decision makers in companies and in state, local, and federal government. This was a surprise to me. And when I had been in graduate school, I had been very intrigued by a book that I read entitled Speaking Truth to Power. It's not an easy thing to do, by the way. It's very easy to become overwhelmed and in awe of people who are CEOs of enormous global corporations or heads of state. So, as a matter of fact, you can even feel in awe of somebody who's head of a startup, a one-person startup, but they really have something going, and you feel a little bit insecure giving them strategic advice. So it's a very interesting way of having a career. So I chose this path because I found it very intriguing. I was asked to be involved in projects that were very interesting to me at first. International sales of machinery, automation, human resource issues at the very top of an organization that are difficult. In fact, we had so many requests from owners of business to help them with very difficult questions of individual performance and behavior that we had a full-time PhD psychotherapist on staff simply to work with clients and their senior executives. That was a whole different perspective on large organizations, but we helped them with some tough problems. So who else is on this path? It's people from all kinds of backgrounds, but what we share is the commonality of advising organizations, advising management on whatever the technical issue might be. There are some challenges involved in this, and one of the main challenges is, how do I speak to people? How do I listen to people? How do I make sense out of what they're saying, and how do I understand it? And one of the first things you learn in this profession as you're listening to clients and listening to their problems is to set aside the latest fad that you might have heard about in management theory. Because for sure, if you start to listen to an individual and categorize what they're saying in a particular box, you begin to lose information on the edges that is very critical. So learning how to listen and understand where people are coming from is a tremendous challenge. What are some highlights of what I've experienced? And you will hear my colleagues share some of the same for you. First of all is the number of family businesses that I've done projects for. This includes very large companies. Well, for example, the New York Times is a family business. I did a project with them, as well as smaller family businesses. And I grew up in a family business. So that really helped me with that line of work. But I also grew up in manufacturing and wholesaling, which meant that I was able to do a lot of projects for folks there as well. But every time I had a client with a problem that was not exactly in the box where I had my experience, I learned how to find people who could, and I trained myself in those areas as well. So that I consider a success for myself and my clients. I have two clients right now that both do analysis of medical issues. One, cardiac imaging. The other, blood analysis for cancer. I don't have a background in these areas technically, but these are two of my most successful clients over time. And I don't try to tell them how to do their analysis of heart images, and I don't try to tell them how to do blood analysis for cancer. What I do is to help senior management understand their systems, their people, their strategy, and in the case of my special expertise, how to look over the horizon and make sense out of the future. So who is an advisor to management and who is not? Somebody who's not an advisor to management and is therefore not by definition a management consultant is somebody who does specific technical jobs on contract. By the way, it's a perfectly honorable thing to do. Those people are essential. I utilize such people, and I have contracted with such people to come in and do high-level analysis for me with a client. Advisors to management are those specifically who are invited by middle and senior management to sit down with them and help them grapple with problems that are critical to their future. I enjoy that kind of work. Is it stressful? Yes. But I'm in my late 70s and I'm still doing it. And I do it because of the satisfaction I get from helping people solve these kinds of problems. And the most important skill that I need for this is listening, reflecting on what they say, and from the decades of experience that I have doing this, it's 40 years now, of actually figuring out which tools from the toolkit that I have may be most beneficial to them in solving the sets of problems they face. What I want to pass on to others is that this is a very satisfying line of work. Difficult? Yes. When you are consulting to management, you have to understand that you're not part of the organization you're consulting to. You have a lot of information that you really are not at liberty to pass on. And also, you continually have to be marketing and being available for work, because eventually the job that you're doing for a client will come to an end. And as a matter of fact, recently I just sent a note to one of my clients saying, within 3 months I will no longer be doing this. It's time to empower somebody on the inside to take over what I've been doing so that you don't need me to do the decision support work that I have been doing for you. So it is definitely a full-time profession, but you may not have the same clients or even same client sector forever. So this is a brief introduction, and I really encourage you to take a look at some of the other videos and hear stories from other people with different perspectives, different experiences, and different reasons why they're doing what they're doing, in some cases, for as long as I have. And once again, it doesn't matter what your professional background is. Your particular specialty, you might be an expert in materials science. You could be an expert in hydraulic engineering. You can be an expert in decision science, in information technology. When you get to the point where you are advising middle and senior managers and grappling with major problems, many of which are of a strategic import, and you're helping them make decisions, you are a consultant to management. And very satisfying indeed. So please enjoy the rest of the series, and we look forward to answering your questions that you may have. Thank you so much.